Welcome to a new, very special episode from Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews. Today, starting with me, Thomas number 2 or 3, how do you like, and not with Thomas number 1. But why? Don't be afraid, we will meet him in a few minutes because we're traveling together to Barcelona for another car review, and I will pick him up at his home now. So normally you will find me behind the camera, but Thomas number 1 has got a very big problem, so I will introduce this car to you. That is the big problem of Thomas number 1. He don't have a power outlet in his garage. But why do we need this? Because our new car, the Volvo XC90 T8 twin engine, has got two hearts. One conventional petrol engine with 320 horsepower and an electric one with 87. A totally system performance of incredible 407 horsepower. Volvo promises us a range up to 40 kilometers in electric mode and a total consumption of incredible 2.1 liters per 100 kilometers. So Thomas number 1 lives far away, 45 kilometers from me, and I want to try to pick him up in the electric mode. You want to know what happens when you are driving an electric car, how to charge it, and I will show you. It is really simple. First, open the lid. Plug in the charging adapter into the car, and the other side of the charging cable into the socket. After about 5 seconds, charging will be started and the adapter will be locked. That's all. In independence of the current intensity, charging will be completed after 3.5 and 6 hours. We choose the highest level. So the batteries are completely charged when the LED indicator stops flashing. Now it is very important. First, you have to unlock the car before removing the adapter. Really, really important. So I will unlock the car and put this one out of the car. Close the lid. And now we can start driving. The drive mode selector is on pure modus, which means that we are driving now completely by electric power. The onboard computer told us a range for about 34 kilometers. That will be not enough to come to Thomas, but don't panic. We have got still the petrol engine in this car, and if there is no electric power, the car switched automatically in the hybrid mode, so we are driving then with normal fuel. So let's start our journey. I'm very curious how much we consume at the end, and yeah, now we try to pick up Thomas. So I'm now on the motorway, and when I push the throttle, the range in the electric mode will decrease very, very fast. So I fix the adaptive cruise control until 80 kilometers per hour. This is not very fast, but it helps me to save energy. The onboard computer told me that the range in the electric mode decreased from 35 to 34 to 32 to 31 kilometers now. Let's see what happens. So we have got now 15 kilometers in electric mode, and the onboard computer told me it's only 17 kilometers in electric mode left. That will be not enough to come to Thomas. but it's quite a nice trip because it is very, very silent inside. No noise inside. The noise cancellation is really good, and when you're driving in the electric mode you can't hear the engine, so it's really, really silent inside, very stressless. So now 33 kilometers in the electric mode, so only 1 kilometer left, and then the car will change automatically in the hybrid mode and will start the petrol engine. And I know that Thomas is waiting for me, and I will pick him up now, and he will explain you the total consumption of this car, and he will give you further information.
So this is Thomas M here in the house as well, and let's see, Thomas B should be arriving pretty soon. There it is, the beautiful XC90 T8 R design. I'm really looking forward to the consumption and to the electric reach.
Hi,
Hey.
Thomas.
Hey,
Hi.
what's up?
Hi.
How you
How
doing?
are you?
Great.
Great. Okay.
So you want to hear the results?
Yes.
How did
Okay.
you drive?
I am driving 44 kilometers from my home to you, and the fuel consumption is about 1.7 liters completely. So I'm driving for about 34 kilometers by electric mode, and the rest kilometers with the conventional engine. So 1.7 liters on my way to
Wow.
you.
That's cool. How was the driving?
Really, really exciting because it is really silent inside. Yeah, you can't hear nothing. It is really nice, very comfortable, and yes, stressless because you are driving very, very carefully. You are driving very, very slow. The maximum speed, the top speed I'm driving was about 80 kilometers per hour. And yes, it was a really nice trip to you. So now let's change the seats. You can get inside, and I'm this what I'm doing every time. I'm taking the camera and I'm filming you.
Let's hand over. So we start the engine here, and the special thing is I just hear nothing. And even if the battery is rather depleted now, we still have the chance to start very silently. And that's of course great, especially like from the last kilometers in front of your house, or maybe when you're stuck in traffic or something like that. But let me just sum up what we've just experienced here with our Thomas B. And because the thing is, you were asking us, what about the real reach, the electric reach of this T8 plug-in hybrid, and what about the consumption, the real consumption, because the official figures of those plug-in hybrids don't say, oh yeah, 1 point something on 100 kilometers, and is this really realistic? That was the big question. And yeah, it is realistic if, same that our other Thomas just experienced, if you just use the electric range totally, an official that's up to 40 kilometers, and here it was 34, I think.
34, right?
34,
Right.
34 kilometers, and then use the normal petrol engine. And of course, there's hardly any way left to consume fuel. And then it's also realistic, as we have just experienced here, that we have about, say, 1.7 liters on 1 kilometers, because there wasn't so many kilometers left to drive. That's of course, the secret behind it. So very interesting result. So it does work, but again, it depends, of course. Do you have the possibility to charge your car at home or at work? That is the key question. And yeah, Thomas Blachetsky, he has the chance to charge the car at home, and so it was also possible that he can get the full charge before we are arriving at my place. Now when we're going to the airport now, well, best solution would be if we could find some parking spot there where we can then again charge at the airport. And so when we are back again at Sunday, then we could directly get it on the electric drive again. That would be the best solution. However, that is the key question here about the infrastructure. Is the infrastructure ready yet? Yes or no? In most parts here in Germany, no, it's not. So I think the main thing, now the petrol engine is also active, I think the main thing is really to improve the infrastructure. That is maybe the even more important thing, because for example in my basement garage there's no electric power. So what should I do with an electric car? That's the main problem then. Yeah, and besides that, I mean, the normal petrol engine is here the T6 inside, so the T6 plus the electric drive is then the T8, 320 horsepower plus 80 horsepower from the electric drive. There will also now be a Polestar tuning available that you can get about 20 horsepower, even more. Then I have about 5.5 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, or 0 to 60 miles an hour acceleration. So really impressive as for this Polestar tuning then. If it's really needed, well, that's another question. But great power here, definitely with the hybrid drive, but the main focus is of course not to have more power boost, but I think really to consume less fuel. And as Thomas also explained us, this really leads you to a rather calm drive, because you think, okay, I'll take it as a challenge now to consume less fuel. And that's also, something funny, not a challenge to drive as fast as possible, but to drive, as economic or as ecologic as possible. So that's definitely also a very interesting aspect here while driving the T8. So battery is almost depleted now. Maybe one question to clarify here is, you can see it right here, that's almost depleted. Of course with recuperation we get a little bit, when we're driving downhill, but here there's no downhill part coming. We're mostly driving a little bit uphill or just straight, so there's no use for that. But a very important question was also, so what about the all-wheel drive here? Here there's no connection between the rear and the front axle, so the electric drive is mostly getting the torque for the rear wheels, and if you hammer the throttle, the electric drive is also supporting the front wheels, but without a connection between front and rear wheels. So very interesting concept, definitely. And this also leads to that when the battery is depleted, there might be a situation you maybe get stuck in the sand and still need the all-wheel drive. So what happens then? In this case, the engine is kind of charging the battery, and the battery at the same time gives the energy again to the wheels, that you still have all-wheel drive at any time when you go to the all-wheel drive mode, so you can be safe also in the sand. So it's not that that you lose the all-wheel drive with the T8 as soon as the battery is depleted. Of course, then it's not efficient anymore to use this system here, but at least you can be sure you have it in case of. So our result, it is very good, very efficient. If you have very good charging possibilities, if you maybe commute to work like 20 kilometers a day, charge at work, charge at home, and then you have no fuel consumption at all. And if you really use the electric range till the end, you can score this 1 point whatever figure. So it was almost, I think, very correct, the official figure from Volvo. But again, if you can really charge it, that's the main key. Then the consumption, normal consumption of this T6 engine. In another review we scored about 10, 11 liters on 1 kilometer, so that will be quite normal. And with the other 4-cylinder petrol engines from Volvo, then it's a little bit a negative aspect. Again, you carry around the weight of all the electric parts, and so it doesn't make sense to drive with a depleted plug-in hybrid, of course. So again, some comments to the driving modes. Hybrid would be the normal mode where the car decides itself where to go to. Pure would be really the all-electric drive, so Thomas used that one as the battery was still available. All-wheel drive if you really want to force the car in the all-wheel drive mode, as I just stated, and power if you want the maximum boost, the maximum battery depletion. And the right part of the instruments, now you see, look at that part here, then battery is taken from the battery if there's still any power left. And if I lift the throttle, there you see there's some recuperation. If I hit the brakes, there's more recuperation then, so that shows us that the battery is loading again. But again, of course, it makes sense when you're going downhill. And what is good, of course, that when you brake, then first the recuperation is active, and then if you need even more braking power, then the real brakes set in. You don't feel that, but the car does that automatically. That works with almost every electric drive car that way. That's of course a very good system, but here it's again moving straight. There's no real use for recuperation, so I would need the charging possibility, again, which is, well, not here at the moment. Of course, we also want to hear your experience, maybe with the XC90 T8, if you have it, or also with other hybrid or all-electric cars, if you have them, for example. Then we can also exchange opinion also about your consumption and how you do it with charging and also with the driving and the recuperation. Let's have that discussion in the comments. And now we've driven even longer, so total 72 kilometers. And see, as we've just driven with the petrol engine, the total consumption then raised to 4.3 liters. But again, for 72 kilometers, it's still a good average consumption. Of course, as longer as we drive now without the electric drive, the higher the consumption will get. It's just natural. So that was it, our reality test, everyday driving with the XC90 T8. About the reach and the consumption. I hope you liked it, because we did it exactly on your request, as we said. And of course, if you want to see the general review of the T8 R design, the link is put in the video description. Then check out that full extensive review. It was really great, with a lot of great snow driving. And if you're more interested in the T6 without the hybrid, there's also a review on Autogefühl, that one with the off-road package in the looks. So we have this R design and the off-road package, different looks, both very spectacular. Check those reviews out, again linked in the video description. So see you there at this review, and of course at one of our very next reviews. Thank you very much for watching here, and looking forward to your feedback.